A Grain of Wheat is a novel written by Ngugi wa Thiong'o in 1967 in Kenya after independence. Ngugi wa Thiong'o wrote different books in different phases. Most of Ngugi's work based on land and nation and Mau Mau rebellion, or struggle for independence. Ngugi wa Thiong'o experienced the Mau Mau rebellion against British. One of his brothers was a member of the Mau Mau group of freedom fighters who fought for Kenya's independence. Ngugi wa Thiong'o later began to write political views. My name is Teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige, or Teacher Kadonji, the Manju Of Literature and the young African writer from Queen of Peace Girls Secondary School, Dega, Tabora, Tanzania. Dear listeners, university students from Mwenge Catholic University, Mwalimu Nyerere, UDSM, Duse, Sauti, Makumila, and teachers, lecturers, and tutorials. Before proceed, I would like to greet my fellow narrators, YouTubers, Mr. Tinga Tinga, Mr. Godon, Mr. Reginald Bishoza, Teacher Hassan Lemuje, Patrick M. Ngugi, and Abdul Poet Online. You can visit the account for more research of literal books. The man sold in A Grain of Wheat focuses on what happens in a few days that lead up to the Independence Day celebration. The story settled to the main character, Mungo wa Kiblo, chapter 1 up chapter 3. Mungo is living a lonely life in his Sabai village. On Saturday evening, Gikonyo, Warui, and Wambui, former freedom fighters, visit Mungo to ask him to speak in honor of Kika at the Independence Day celebrations. General Ara and Lieutenant Koina, two Mau Mau representatives and former comrades of Kihika, also alive. They have returned to Sabai to find out who betrayed Kihika. They believe the traitor is Karanja and hope that Mungo will help them to prove it. Chapter 4 of chapter 8. Karanja is working at the Gizima Forest Station. He is very worried because he thinks that his boss, Thompson, is going to have Kenya and he will lose his position. Thompson is planning to leave Kenya to return to Britain. Gikonyo goes to Nairobi to ask his parliamentary representative, MP, to give him a loan so that he can buy a farm. He wants to expand his business interest. Later, when Gikonyo returned to Sabai, he visits Mugo and tells him how he found everything had changed when he got home from detention. Mubi had Karanja's child. Chapter 9 of 12. Mugo meets Mubi, who tells him about her life during the state of emergency and about betraying Gikonyo with Karanja. General R comes back to speak to Mugo again, but Mugo is scared and rushed away. Thompson tells Karanja that he is leaving. That evening, Thompson and his wife, Majal, go to a farewell party that the British community have arranged for them. Gikonyo arrives home in a bad mood because he had lost his chance to buy the farm. He finds with Mubi, who leaves him. Gikonyo goes with Warui to Mugo to try again to persuade him to speak at the celebration. Chapter 3. Wambui persuades Mubi to go to Mugo and ask him to speak at the Independence Day celebrations. Mugo becomes very upset and confesses to her that it was he who had betrayed Kihika. Chapter 14. Karanja, Mugo, Warui, Wambui, and Harambe at the Independence Day celebration. A race is organized and Gikonyo, Karanja, General Ara, and Lieutenant Koina all take part. During their race, Gikonyo falls and breaks his arm. Mubi rushes to help him and he is taken to hospital. General Allah makes the Independence Day speech instead of Mugo and calls on the person who betrayed Hika to step forward. General Allah believes this is Karanja. Mugo stands up and confesses to the crowd that he was a traitor. General Allah goes to Mugo's hut to take him away to be tried, questioned, and judged for his betrayal of Kihika. After his trial, Mugo is executed. After the celebration, Karanja tries to pursue the Mubi to let him see his son, but she refuses. That night, Karanja tries to leave Sabai, but the train lashes past him, and he is left standing alone at the railway crossing. Later, Mubi visits Kikonyo in hospital, and the novel ends with them agreeing at least to talk about their marriage. Harambe provides hope at the end of the story that they will work together for their future. Ngugi was Thiong'o decided to use symbolical title, a grain of wheat. This is the idea that before a seed can grow into a new plant, it must first dry out and sacrifice its own life. Grain of wheat are a symbol for the people who started the Kenyan independence movement, those who sacrificed toward the center of the earth. Ngugi was Thiong'o compare him to a seed of a grain which gave birth to movement whose strength thereafter sprang from a bond with the soil. In the novel, Kihika is the hero of the freedom movement, and he can be seen as the second seed. Kihika believes that Kenyans had to sacrifice their lives for Kenya's independence. Ngugi wa Thiong'o takes the idea for the title from this quotation in the Bible. But someone may ask, what a foolish question. When you put a seed into the ground, it doesn't grow into a plant unless it dies first. And what you put in the ground is not the plant that will grow, but only a bare seed of wheat or whatever you are planting. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 36, Holy Bible, New Living Translation. Before a seed can grow into a new plant, it must first die itself. Some other grains suggest different kinds of sacrifice that may lead to the transformation and new life. In the novel, the Kenyans must change from their colonial habits and work together to build their future. Dear listener, the story takes place in Kenya, mostly in and around the typical Kenya village, where the writer calls Sabai. Ngugi wa Thiong'o employs different styles or techniques in his novel. Number 1, the use of narration form. The story of many characters are told at different times. Number 2, the use of third person point of view and first person point of view. Number 3, the use of dialogue. When Mubi went to Mugo's house to pursue him to speak at Independence Day celebration, Ngugi wa Thiong'o used different figures of speech in his novel, A Grain of Wheat. Number 1, the use of symbolism. Example, a grain of wheat, where his blood contains sacrifice, within it is a seed. Number 2, simile, is used here to compare the village to a burnt sacrifice. Example, a huge mass of glass from which smoke rose to the sky as from a burnt sacrifice. Number 6, oxymoron, is the use of two words or phrases together that are opposite in meaning. Example, white power had given Karanja fearful security. If you have security, you should not be afraid. Number 4, onomatopoeia. The sound of train is described in a metaphor. Dear listeners, Ngugi wa Thiong'o uses flashback throughout the level of being past events into the novel's present events. Ngugi wa Thiong'o used different characters in his novel, A Grain of Wheat. Mugo is a protagonistic, Kihika is an antagonistic. In A Grain of Wheat, Kihika is an antagonistic. There are different ways in which Mugo may be seen to be in conflict with Kihika. Kihika tried to involve Mugo in independence struggle, but Mugo wants to be left alone. Mugo grew up in Sabai village where he lived with his cruel abused aunt, Waiseleo. His unhappy childhood caused him to become antisocial and isolated from the community. He betrays Kihika. Number 2, Gikonyo. In his youth, Gikonyo was friends with Kihika, Mubi, and Karanja. He was a carpenter. He loved Mubi and they were married. Number 3, Karanja. Karanja lived with his mother Wairim. He also loved Mubi. He worked for the British in Home Guard and later became a chief. Number 4, Kihika. He is Mubi's brother and the hero of the struggle. Someone in the village betrayed him to the British and he was hanged. So he sacrificed his life for Kenya's freedom. Number 5, Mumbi. She is a beautiful, strong woman who grew up in Sabai. She is Kihika's sister and Kunyo's wife. Number 6, General R, a leader of a Mau Mau group and friend of Kihika. Number 7, Lieutenant Koina, also a friend of Kihika, he is second in command in the group of General R. Ngugi was Thiong'o portrayed the women in his novel in different ways. Women portrayed the freedom fighters, example Mubi. Women portrayed the person who have true love to their husband, example Mubi. Women portrayed as the courageous person, example Mubi. Ngugi wa Thiong'o wrote this novel to reveal the central idea to their readers. Number 1, heroism involves bravery and courage. Example, Kihika is shown as the hero of the struggles. The people of Sabai also consider Mugo to be a hero. Number 2, suffering and the sacrifice for freedom. Kihika is like Kenya as he too is a greedy fighter. He is caught and hanged by the British because Mugo betrays him. Number 3, betrayal. Mugo betrays Kihika by telling the British where to find him. Karanja betrays Gikonyo by having sex with Mumbi. Karanja betrays the freedom movement by working for the British as the home guard and the thief. Number 4, guilt. Mugo feels guilt after the betrayal Kihika. Ngugi wa Thiong'o wrote this novel to educate Africans on the issue of unity. It's very important in struggling for independence. Number 2, betrayal is not good in our society. Number 3, we should appreciate our freedom fighter. Dear listener, a grain of wheat is still relevant in our society. The issue of betrayal, hypocrisy, guilt is still a challenge in the society. I have reached at the end of this novel. Thank you for listening to me. Goodbye.